We're now in the Dan Rather stage of the Ferguson riots. You remember the Dan Rather report on George Bush when he was running for president? Rather produced all these documents that later turned out to be fake, saying Bush did this, Bush did that. When presented with the evidence, Dan Rather said, well, the documents were fake, but the story is true. Hi, this is Colin Flaherty with White Girl Bleed a Lot. Here we talk about black-on-white crime, black mob violence, and the knockout game, and other forms of racial violence. We do it without racism, without rancor, without apologies. The other day I was watching MSNBC. I was actually working on something else. I flicked on the channel just to keep an eye on it, just so you don't have to. And I came across this extraordinary report from Ronan Farrow. He was talking to somebody whom at first I thought was, one of the angry activists from Ferguson. Turned out to be an NBC reporter. And he said something quite extraordinary at the end of his report. He said the violence, correct that. He said the protests in Ferguson have been largely peaceful. Wow. Let's take a look at that. Then let's take a look at what he was talking about.
One other note on the community response. Police in Ferguson are spending a lot of money on preparedness for more protests. They've spent $172,669 just since August on tear gas, grenades, other civil disobedience equipment. Are they preparing for more unrest?
Oh, they're certainly preparing for the prospect of more unrest. And I spoke to a few protesters this morning who say, why would this be the response? Why are you buying body armor? They purchased something called a hornet's nest grenades. When they explode, they release a chemical agent simultaneously firing off rubber bullets. This sounds like preparation for a battle, for war. And so people are incredulous. Though they are angry, they've largely been peaceful.
Let's see if we can find an answer to that question.
Police say demonstrators threw Molotov cocktails, fired guns, and looted stores. The violence increased over the weekend after police released surveillance video of Brown allegedly stealing a box of cigars from a convenience store just minutes before he was gunned down. Susan McGinnis, CBS News, Ferguson, Missouri.
And so people are incredulous. Though they are angry, they've largely been peaceful.
Here's another one of the peaceful protesters.
They've largely been peaceful.
Here's a story from the Mail Online of London. They talk about 8 nights. This is the first 8 nights, right? Molotov cocktails, gunfire, reporters were beaten, residents were beaten, urine bottles.
They've largely been peaceful.
Get the fuck out of here! Get the fuck out of here! Get the fuck out of here, bitches! Y'all some straight bitches! Get the fuck out of here!
There's so much video, so many victims, so many witnesses. It's weird that we even have to make this video, but we do, because the reporters at NBC, CNN, and a lot of other networks are just in absolute denial.
They've largely been peaceful.
Get the fuck out of here! Get the fuck out of here! Get the fuck out of our shit! Leave! Get the fuck out of here!
They've largely been peaceful.
Leave! 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 Our streets! Our streets! Our streets! Get the fuck out of here! Get the fuck out of here! Get the fuck out of here!
They've largely been peaceful.
Get the fuck out of here! Get the fuck out of here! Get the fuck out of here! Fuck out of here! This motherfucker is here! The fuck y'all!
They've largely been peaceful.
Fuck y'all! Fuck y'all! Fuck y'all bitches! Fuck y'all bitches! Fuck y'all bitches!
They've largely been peaceful.
We drawing blood out here. Fuck them.
They've largely been peaceful.
Drew, yeah. Drew, my dude, what's up? What's up? We out here. It's our shit. What you doing here, bro? The fuck out of here, man, with your coward-ass boys. With your coward-ass terrorists. Get the fuck out of here. We don't want y'all on our streets no more. The fuck out of here, bro.
They've largely been peaceful.
The fuck you still doing here? Coward. Straight pig out here. Straight bitch. You gotta go. Your life is in danger, homie. You better go.
They've largely been peaceful.
You serve me. We don't serve you, bitch. Yeah, bitch. Fuck the police. Fuck the police. Fuck the police. Fuck the police.
They've largely been peaceful.
That's how we stand on motherfuckers. Don't shoot. Don't shoot. Don't shoot. The fuck you gonna do, bitch?
They've largely been peaceful.
You serve me, homie. What happens when we take your gun? How far that badge gonna take you, homie?
They've largely been peaceful.
Huh?
They've largely been peaceful.
A lot of looting going on, and now we are at yet another location that is being looted as we speak. Bobby Hughes in the Mazda Roadrunner is on scene, and he joins us now with what's happening. Bobby?
That's right, guys. Yeah, I was just at the sporting goods store and then looked behind me in the shopping centers. There's at least 3 more stores being looted at this point.
They've largely been peaceful.
We're seeing a lot of windows being smashed, people running out with clothing. I have noticed that a lot of these vehicles that are involved in this, a lot of the tags have been removed from those cars.
They've largely been peaceful.
A huge crowd of people, because I can see several individuals coming out of a business right now. That looks like some sort of an electronics, no, clothing store looks like that. Young man is coming out of the store with an arm full of clothing.
That's right. Yeah, it's DTLR's, the store. It has those security chains on the front window, but all of a sudden everybody's run out to the car and has taken off from this area. I had one individual drive up and tell me, he said, this makes no sense at all. Why are our people doing this?
They've largely been peaceful.
And that's been the case up here this morning. Is
no justice, no groceries, or something like that.
They've largely been peaceful.
Some more of the Gentle Giants. Some cops. How'd you like to be a cop down there? ATM machine disturbed in a peaceful protest. What's that dude doing with that trash can to that bus stop? Quick Trip. I think that's where the Gentle Giant stole the cigars. No justice, no cans of energy drink. Hey, what's up, Gentle Giant?
They've largely been peaceful.
just a little bit, but as you're looking at video here, you can see that people are still looting these stores in this North County community.
They've largely been peaceful.
Molotov cocktails were thrown. There were shootings, looting, vandalism, and other acts of violence that clearly appear not to have been spontaneous or premeditated criminal acts.
They've largely been peaceful.
If peaceful protests devolved into a night of Molotov cocktails and tear gas as rage boiled over in Ferguson, Missouri. Officers fired tear gas into a crowd of hundreds of protesters marching toward a police command post Sunday night, CNN's Steve Kassenbaum said from the scene. Authorities also struck one defiant protester with rubber bullets. St. Louis County Police said several protesters had thrown Molotov cocktails toward the officers before authorities shot tear gas toward them.
Look, we're not playing gotcha with Ronan Farrow and that reporter from NBC. This is not an outlier story. This is how this story reflects the tone and content of a lot of the media coverage that we saw of what was happening in Ferguson. Right away, I wrote a story for Front Page and another one for American Thinker, almost right away, demonstrating how the lies were collapsing. The story of Mike the Gentle Giant, how it was so unusual that the reporters were the ones complaining about the leak of the videotape. That videotape would not be out right now if the Attorney General had anything to say about it. You know the video I'm talking about, the one where the Gentle Giant is stealing the cigars and roughing up the clerk who's half his size. And how often in the coverage did you hear about what those cigars are used for? Those cigars are full of tobacco. No one uses them for tobacco. What you do is you ever see people with those long fingernails on their pinky? They use their pinky finger to slit the cigar, take out the tobacco, fill it with pot, roll it back up again, and when they smoke it, it changes the odor of the cigarette to make it smell a lot less like pot, a lot more like a cherry cigar. So that's what he was doing in there, and it was weird that he stole a whole box of them, right? Did you see the picture of Michael Brown in just a second or two ago, a couple seconds ago? The headphones he has, those are $300 headphones. That's a heck of a lot more than my $25 Radio Shack headphones are going for. So here's where we are today. We're now at a point where we really have to start calling out black reporters, especially members of the National Association of Black Journalists, which I've been doing now for a year, including in the book White Girl Bleed a Lot. Oh, and by the way, if you read White Girl Bleed a Lot, if you have, then none of this misreporting, none of this black mob violence is a surprise to you. If you have not read White Girl Bleed a Lot, you have absolutely no context to put this coverage, to put this violence into context. So Ferguson is bad, but Ferguson is bad for a lot of reasons, but it's not qualitatively different than a lot of other cases of black mob violence, recent cases of black mob violence. What about Louisville? What about Louisville back in the spring? A couple hundred black people met at a park, and they were, rampaging through downtown Louisville, beating up people, stealing things, going into stores, looting, a lot of it on videotape. The next day, the Louisville paper basically said, well, something happened, we're not sure what, which was weird because a lot of the videotape took place in the parking lot of the Louisville Daily newspaper. But story after story of this black mob violence that I document, it's amazing how often they send the black reporter to cover the story. He or she will look into the camera and most of the time, they'll look into the camera and go, man, I don't have any idea what just happened here. I mean, I'm thinking of one case in particular down in Jacksonville, Florida on Christmas 2013. That's last year. And 700 black people tried to bum rush their way into a movie theater to see, one of the 13 movies that came out last year that talked about how white racism is everywhere. White racism is permanent. And so is black victimization. So there's the reporter looking at the camera going, man, I'm speechless. My jaw's dropped. What the hell is going on? I have no idea. This happened just a few days ago in Ferguson, where another local reporter is looking into the camera, and she's reporting that 3 people in this crowd that was demonstrating at one of the local colleges, she says that somebody dropped an N-bomb on these people. And, well, there was no video. There was no audio. This is like the Breitbart thing from a year or two ago, right? When the Black Caucus walked through a Tea Party demonstration, and when they came out on the other end, John Lewis and others said, "Oh, they were calling us they were dropping N-bombs on us." Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people there, and not one person could produce an audio or video account, even though Breitbart put up this enormous, I think it was like $100,000. So here we have the same thing. Big demonstration, lots of smartphones rolling on video, and this black reporter didn't even point out that, well, they're making some pretty wild accusations that basically they can't back up. In other words, they're lying their ass off. Just the way part of my bad language, they're lying their asses off just the way the people lied in Ferguson. And the reporters, especially the black reporters, they give them a pass on it. Michael Brown, the gentle giant. Michael Brown, hands up. Michael Brown running when he was shot. Michael Brown this, Michael Brown that. Well, after a couple weeks of that, people started to figure out what the real story was. That, there was a confrontation with the cop. Brown attacked the cop. And all of a sudden, did you notice how the story shifted? Now we're back into the Dan Rather phase, right? It's like, okay, well, maybe that happened, but and this is and if you watch the earlier part of the Ronan Farrow video, and I don't think I have the nerve to subject you to it. But the black reporter is talking to Ronan Farrow, and they're saying, well, one of the reasons for all the violence is because they left Michael Brown's body out there on the burning hot concrete for 4.5 hours, and that's why everybody in Ferguson was so upset. Then, before a couple weeks ago, it was all of a sudden, well, people in Ferguson had a lot of outstanding traffic warrants. You run a red light, get a ticket, you don't show up. Then it becomes like 10 times worse, right? Well, it turns out like there was an enormous number of those things in Ferguson. People would get them, they would just rip them up. And that apparently was the cause of the riots. So the St. Louis, County Board of Supervisors, whatever they call those guys there, they basically said, okay, sure, we'll throw those out. We'll declare amnesty on those things. So every time a reason comes up, it gets shot down. They just invent new reasons. Well, we're used to that from reading White Girl Bleed a lot. We're used to the media ignoring, denying, condoning. You know what? I don't like to throw this word around because it's a very judgmental word. But I will tell you this: White Girl Bleed a lot documents it, and we see it here once again. Reporters lying about black mob violence, black on white crime, and the knockout game. There it is. And so here's our challenge. Are we going to wait around for Ronan Farrow to figure it out all of a sudden? The golden boy of MSNBC is not going to figure this out. Neither are the people at CNN. CNN, they said, God, I watched that for like 5 hours one night. For 5 hours. It was almost every minute there was a reporter talking about how the riots were caused by the police trying to stop the riots. How the riots were caused by the police dressed up in camo, and that infuriated the rioters. Are we going to get CNN to smarten up? No. That's why these videos are important. That's why White Girl Bleed a Lot, the book, is important. That's why the Knockout Game book I just wrote is important. It basically documents what's going on without a lot of wild accusations or anything like that, without any racism, without any anger. It just said, listen, the reporter said this happened, but here's what really happened. We document it with video, with witnesses, with victims, police reports, 911 calls, and we just do it over and over and over and over and over until people get the overwhelming message that two things. One, there's something really bad happening in this country right now with racial violence, black on white crime, black mob violence, and the knockout game. And two, the reporters are systematically unable to get their minds around it. They're systematically unable to report it in anything close to resembling what really happened. And the people most guilty of this are members of the National Association of Black Journalists. This is Colin Flaherty with White Girl Bleed a Lot. I hope you'll subscribe to this channel. I hope you'll share this video. I hope you'll like it. That'll get the word out. I guarantee it. I'll talk to you next time.